Hi, my name is Faceman. I'm a digital artist, except sometimes I'm not. And in today's video, we're going to be going over the last few weeks where I committed myself to completing a project or a practice of sorts where the ultimate goal was to get quicker at doing art. And then ultimately procrastinate that goal and lose motivation and fall into a vicious cycle of, let's call it, artistic mediocrity. Except, hold on, we might have actually beaten that cycle before it even started, but let's get back to the beginning before we get to the end. So a few weeks ago, probably a month at this point, I tasked myself with coming up with a practice to increase how quickly I could get art out. And what I landed on was a concept character creature design kind of practice. But the reason I landed on creature and character design is threefold. I don't know what those folds are. Let me check my script. The first fold is that I already am pretty comfortable with character and creature designs just by a result of how my art style is already. Secondarily, building off of that comfort, I can hopefully get stuff to a more complete state quicker. And finally, the impetus of inspiration to focus on character or creature art comes from my unfortunate return to the social media platform known as Twitter. Despite it representing pretty much everything I hate about social media, from the monetization of content to the degradation of democracy to being run by an asshat. Anyways, back to the point, there was a lot of art that I was really inspired by on Twitter, so I've put all their images up as I'm talking here with their handles. Highly recommend checking them out. But that was the final puzzle piece in my brain to bring this all together. So the idea was I could pump out like 3 to 5 of these looser character sketches a week. And that would, 1, be really good practice, and 2, be great basis to film a video about, because I would have like 6 to 10 images that I could show you guys if I did this for about 2 weeks. Other Faceman, how did that go?
I fucked it.
Thankfully for this first art piece, I recently came across a reference image that was very inspiring to me, so it at least got off to a good start, and that is the image of what is called a Damascus goat. It's something, alright. This practice was more than just me drawing stuff as I normally do. I wanted to try out some new methods to see what works. So on this one in particular, I kind of kept it as I normally did, as a, what's it called when in science, as like a base? What's it called, man? To kind of keep this as a control piece, right? See how long this takes, see its quality, and then compare it to some different methods that I try later on and see if there's any differences. So this one was business as usual. I started off with a sketch, and holy shit, did that go off the rails really quickly. So on my second sketch, I completely scrapped the original goat idea that I was so inspired by in the first place. I came up with something that can only accurately be described as a hate crime, threw some eyes on it, and called it a day. And if the line art and sketching were already a terrible start, the real struggle started in the coloring phase. I threw down a color and tried to build off of it. I felt like I was maybe just stuck in the mud phase. And if you're unfamiliar with the mud phase, it is the phase of an art project where you not only want to end the art project as a piece, but you actually want to end it all. Anyway, I felt like maybe the mud phase was just longer than normal, so I kept pushing through, but no matter what I did, I couldn't seem to bring this piece together. So it was a very rough start for me personally, and on top of that, this piece by itself took about a week and a half to complete. All in all, it was probably the worst possible way I could have started a project like this. It really sucked a lot of energy out of me. In the end, we did get King Face Baby Man. So I took everything that I learned from that first piece, and there was definitely a lot, and I brought that into the second piece. So let's first start with the inspiration of the second piece before getting into the whole process. Don't kill me, guys. I used AI. Now hold on, don't close the video, don't give it a thumbs down. I hate AI just as much as the next person, but I really wanted to do something opposite as the first one. So I dug into the trenches of my random reference folder that I keep on my computer of things that I think look cool, and I found an image that I must have saved like 2 or 3 years ago when AI was just this weird kind of cool thing that everyone was having a little bit of fun with before all the moral implications of how they are actually building these models became so crystal clear. I mean, I have a like 30-minute video on my channel about the immorality of AI art and how that relates to capitalism and work and all this stuff. Don't look it up, by the way. All my old videos, I mean, these videos aren't even that good, but my old videos are even worse, so don't even look it up. But safe to say, I'm not a fan of AI at all right now, but I did have this weird reference photo that I wanted to use. So on the second art phase, instead of trying to sketch everything out like I normally did, I actually tried to block in a silhouette first, which is a completely new process for myself. Normally, sketch it out, usually a second sketch, and then a third and a fourth until it's refined. This time, I blocked the big shapes out, and then I just sketched once over top, and it was pretty much ready to outline. And that sped up my personal workflow so much, because the first piece, as I mentioned, took about a week and a half to complete, and this one took about 3 days. I also decided to do a simpler coloring method with a very base wash that was not a disgusting puke green color. Added some reds here and there, and then for lighting and shading, just 1 or 2 colors for each. However, if I'm going to be honest about what I really think about this piece, I think it's just okay. You know, it's still an improvement, a big improvement from the first piece, but I don't think I imbued enough of my own creative juices into this piece as I wanted. It is almost just like a copy of the inspiration piece, aside from the hands that I think were a kind of cool addition in the face. But it is really a silhouette of the reference piece, which is not what I wanted to do. And, you know, the reference piece being AI makes it even worse. So I'm not super happy with it. It was a good practice, and I'm happy I did it. All right, again, for this third piece, let's start with the inspiration. This third one, no reference piece, at least when it comes to the creative part of it. I knew that I wanted to do some kind of deer creature, but I really wanted to just let my creative intuition take over. So the first breadcrumb that I was actually learning real stuff from this practice came from the fact that I took what I learned from the Wolves of the Skin piece and I blocked out the shapes again, because that's worked really well for me last time, and it worked really well for me again here. I did a very loose blocking out of a silhouette that I thought looked kind of cool, and then I almost like carved the idea from that silhouette, which is definitely a new process for me, and I think it's going to take a little bit of time to get used to do that instinctively when I have an idea, but I do think it is a quicker process for me personally. After carving away the loose sketch and getting through the outlining phases, there isn't really too much to talk about on this piece when it comes to breaking down what was going on in my little monkey brain, because it's all a culmination of what I've done in the last 2 pieces. The coloring, I definitely took inspiration again from the Wolves of the Skin piece and tried to start very simple, but breathe a little bit of gradients or different colors on top of any base colors I added. This piece came together extremely quickly. Now, it did take 4 or 5 days of, you know, constant work every evening on it, which sounds like a lot, and it's a lot of hours put in, but it was just a inherently more complex piece, from the twirling arm neck muscles to how the antlers overlay atop of each other. But for me personally, I think this was definitely a speed up of my process compared to what it would normally take. Overall, I'm 100% satisfied with how this piece came out. This is definitely the favorite of the 3. I think it is weird and unsettling and unnerving, but also like a bit ethereal, which is kind of my style, or at least where I try and push my style towards. So I think it fits perfectly to what I like doing. The line work is refined, but I didn't get caught in the weeds of perfecting every single line. The colors are pretty simple, but also striking and complex enough to bring some interest to the whole piece. I think it all came together really well, and obviously, if you can't tell from the image itself, the name is It Bleeds Whispers, which is kind of a nod to the lore that is behind this picture. I'm not going to get too much into the lore of my artwork, unless there's, you know, a lot of people that are interested in that kind of stuff. I may do a video of it at some point. Anyways, with that tangent aside, we can get on to the conclusion of the video. What did I learn? So the big takeaway for me personally, which I alluded to before, was changing my sketching style. It makes a lot more sense to do this silhouette style blocking in of a character or a creature, and then kind of chipping away at that with a sketch. You can almost break the silhouette apart in your head and feel comfortable sketching kind of each part and moving them until it works in your brain. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone else, but it makes sense to me, and that was kind of like a eureka moment for me in this whole process. If you've learned anything from this, consider liking, subscribing, stuff below. There is one more thing I want to touch on. It is something that I've alluded to on a few of my last videos, that I'm kind of searching for this new style. I didn't really want to reveal what it was or really know what it was. I do think I found my first stepping stone with this It Bleeds Whispers art piece. It is a direction that inspires me and interests me, but I think that's going to bring us to the end of the video. I learned a lot personally from this practice. It did take me like a month. It did take an extra week because I was distracted by a certain situation that was unfolding online.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
If you enjoyed the video, consider liking, subscribing below. I got all my links to all my socials, Discord, Patreon, all that stuff down below. So if you did make it this far, I really do appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Stay stranger. Stay my friend.